The claims made little sense at first. A machine people could go into to improve their cognitive abilities almost to their full potential. A steel tube you were very likely to see in a sci-fi film, regaining paralyzed people the use of their limbs, allowing cognitively disabled people to read, and enabling people who stuttered to sing, reversing the aging process and sometimes even restoring the brain to where it was years before. You can create some sort of Superman. It's exciting, yes. 150 patients a day, practically 24/7. Many suffer severe conditions, but also some of our healthy yet aging industry leaders wishing to preserve or improve what they already have. Will this ever be available to everyone? Just like anything else, it always starts with those who can afford it in early stages. It's very expensive at this point. Indeed, and later, just like cell phones, the rest of us will be able to have them. My own father took a huge mortgage just to get a cell phone. It's the same thing. The hyperbaric chambers in Asaf Orfei Hospital are currently the largest center in the world in terms of research and patient numbers, and are fully booked. This is the backyard. The people inside are in another world. Somehow we must create an entirely different reality. We compress the various gases. Here we have banks of oxygen, air, heliox, and then it goes inside. We consider oxygen as medicine. That's how we administer it. The chambers have been part of the medical field for decades, first as treatment for diving-related injuries. Now they're used worldwide mostly to treat open wounds, typical of diabetics. But here's the twist. The first case that really caught my attention was of a relatively young diabetic woman who came to treat a leg wound and had previously suffered a stroke. She had to be wheeled in. Her wound healed, but she also started walking again. Once you witness something like that, you tell yourself, something has happened here, but you forget about it. Sometimes things happen beyond our understanding. Then I witnessed a second incident and a third. And then I began to wonder. What's going on? What is this? More and more cases of neurological improvement following treatments at the chambers occurred, sometimes even dramatic. It turns out in conditions of highly dense oxygen, wonderful things happen to the brain. The brain consists of neurons and nerve cells that do not regenerate. That's what we used to think. That's what we thought when I was in school. Right, same here. It also says in the textbooks I read, so what happened? We see differently now. Our new approach regards the brain as tissue. Like other body tissues, the brain requires certain needs in order to regenerate damaged tissue. For example, if I had a leg wound, but it didn't have sufficient supply of oxygen, the wound wouldn't heal because it is oxygen deprived, right? It lacks the energy requiring for the healing process. The same goes for the brain. Professor Efrati says some of the damage can be reversed many years following the incident. He performs a complex brain imaging, which shows the dead cells here in blue, but also the living functioning cells, seen here in yellow and red. The fascinating part is shown here in green, cells which, following the trauma, have slipped into deep hibernation. They keep for themselves whatever little energy they have and do not function beyond that. A series of treatments at the chambers can revive them as well as their lost functions. This is the area in charge of limb movements. Green, the green indicates latent cells, latent but not gangrenous. After the treatment, the function is restored, and the limbs start moving again. She can't speak. Broca's area is in charge of speech. Right, she undergoes treatment and begins to speak. Amazing. That's the point. What you're saying here is very serious. You can repair damage which has been considered irreversible. It was irreversible up until now. Considered is a big word. Eli Genish is 25 years old. When he was an infant, his mother found him all blue in his crib. The doctor saved his life, but after long minutes of oxygen deprivation, his brain was damaged. I was told he suffered from developmental disabilities, but he was just sort of in limbo. He wasn't classified as mentally disabled, not even slightly. And he could not be part of normal society. He could function as neither. Mira had taken Ellie to every conceivable treatment, none which led to any significant improvement. When he started speaking at age 4, Ellie suffered from a severe stutter. His school specialized in learning disabilities, but he couldn't master reading and writing, despite his mother's diligent efforts. I'd teach him, and he'd get it. But the next day, he would already forget everything. At the age of 24, Ellie still could not read and write, and couldn't find his place in society or the professional world. Then Mira heard about the hyperbaric chambers. Professor Shai said he could definitely help him. He said he could fix his memory. That's a very big promise. Yes, I told him that. I've been fighting for years. My son is 24 years old. And now you're telling me you can fix him? I mean, I wasn't sure how to respond. After his 40th treatment, his speech, his stutter, it pretty much vanished. It was unbelievable. I also noticed he could understand me better. Have a seat. Okay. We started doing reading and writing exercises again. And I was amazed. I only had to explain something once or twice. And that was it. He got it. I'll tell you a number. Tell me whether it's odd or even. Okay, 40. Even. Well done. 61. Odd. Great job. He suddenly got it. It stuck. How many tens are there in the number 28? 2. Good job. Mira and Ellie quickly began to catch up. He had learned 18 months' worth of material in 1 month. There was a long way to go. I felt like my brain was fixed. I could listen and understand better. I could understand what people were talking to me about. We were watching TV, and I told him he could read the subtitles aloud. And he started doing just that. Did you suddenly realize you could read the subtitles? Yes. I could suddenly do it. You finally managed to read at the age of 24? Yes. Like I had entered a freezer and came out 25 years later. How much later can this happen? Years. Years after a concussion, 20. Our longest treatment course is of a woman who fell down the stairs when she was 2. And she is now 46 years old. Her entire life, she was cognitively disabled in terms of memory and attention, and she has made an amazing leap. She's even working now. She just started last week. Ever since actor Ori Chachman can remember, he has suffered a difficult attention deficit disorder. But he became an actor anyway. It's difficult for people with ADD, and actors especially. An actor with ADD and memory problems seems like a big bind. He discovered the chambers when he needed treatment for sports-related injury. The pain subsided, but then he noticed another effect. The ADD, which had ailed him his entire life, substantially subsided. Now he can perform in 5 productions at the same time. I can read and remember things much more easily. I no longer ride my bike to unfamiliar places, which used to happen to me. I no longer put my phone in the fridge. People get hit on the head every day in various incidents. Sometimes one is unaware of the existence of a concussion. Even if everything seems normal again, 1 of every 3 patients suffers residual damage and will start to deteriorate and have problems at work, memory problems, and even depression. Often they're not associated with the accident. I slipped over here, I guess. My legs were here at the same point. Then I laid back and banged my head, my shoulder, here, and my head right here. I was bleeding everywhere. Nothing was broken. I could move my arms and everything else, so I didn't want to go to the ER on a Saturday morning. I thought I was fine. I only bumped my head. It wasn't serious. It'll pass. Almost 5 years after hitting his head, Chaim arrived for treatment at the chambers, hoping to relieve the pain and avoid taking steroids. But not only has the pain in his shoulder passed, when I started the treatment, within 5 days my mental state had changed completely. Only then I realized how depressed I've been for years. This is before the treatment, and this is after. The same cerebral cortex before and after. 59-year-old Chaim has noticed that his brain is as sharp as it ever has been, which he did not expect. By the way, before I started treatment, I underwent a serious cognitive test. Then I took the same test post-treatment. There was an improvement of 20 to 22% in my cognitive functions. These are undisputable results, not some meaningless standard deviation. I suddenly got my memory back. Now Professor Efrati is targeting children. He claims that there are thousands of them, ones who fell from their bicycle, their skateboards, their carousel. The CT scan showed nothing was wrong, and it seemed everything was fine. But suddenly honor students began to fail at school, end up not going to college, and no one associates it with the incident. The parents were reassured everything was fine and never thought there might be a solution. Treatment at the chambers is available with a doctor's referral or privately. It isn't cheap, a series of 62-hour sessions will set you back 24,000 shekels. Can I do it even if I'm fine? Suppose I tell you I'm absolutely healthy, but I simply want more. That's what we call enhancement, right? The classic example is elite athletes. People think that a body makes an athlete elite, but that's not true. Messi isn't a body, he's a brain, an amazing brain, okay? So when it comes to people like that, we want them to go farther, right? These technologies are used on these guys in order to improve on what's there, like Djokovic. Money isn't an issue. He gets treatment following his tennis match. And what's the point? Hang on, he gets treatment following his tennis match? Yeah, he enters the chamber right after each practice, similarly to elite athletes. Even young, healthy people have much to gain from treatments at the hyperbaric chambers. Those who can afford it sit here for 2 hours a day in order to enhance their cognitive function. Could we all enter such a chamber in the future and step out slightly brighter? Long story short, yes. The answer is yes when you raise oxygen levels. The ability to multitask or perform complicated tasks increases dramatically, so you can make a pilot out of all of us. I'm not sure, but your cognitive functions will improve, yes.